Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I'm your host, Andrea, back to bring you more news and commentary you can use. Listen, y'all, on the channel, I've been covering the potential rail strike for some time now. And so I just wanted to come on and bring you all an update to let you know that the House, the U.S. House of Representatives, has now passed a bill, some say a Biden backed bill to avert or avoid the rail strike. So I'm going to give you all some details, information on that. Before we get into it, please make sure that you take a moment to like this video, share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. All right, y'all. So let me go ahead and bring you some details. This news comes from Fox Business. And the caption says President Biden said the failure to achieve a breakthrough forced him to ask Congress to intervene and prevent a strike. Now, you all know just recently here on another video, in another video on the channel, I told you all that President Biden at the time called on Congress to intervene. From my understanding, and you all can provide more insight in the chat, but from my understanding, our Congress has certain powers to act to avoid a potential rail strike. I even share with you on another video, and as you can see on the screen, how the potential impact of a rail strike could be, very devastating on our economy. As we see in the picture, it says the job losses could be somewhere around 700,000, and the economic slowdown could cost $160 billion. Okay. All right, y'all. So let me go ahead and give you some news and information. According to Fox Business, the U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation on Wednesday to avert a national railroad strike, but questions remain about whether the effort can clear the 50-50 Senate. Okay. Now, the article says by a 290 to 137 vote, House lawmakers voted to pass legislation blocking nearly 100,000 railroad workers from striking in early December. Economists in the White House have warned that a railroad strike could paralyze the nation's economy ahead of the holiday season. And we've talked about that here on the channel as well. Okay. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had this to say, and I quote, "We must act to prevent a catastrophic strike that would touch the lives of nearly every family." Okay. The legislation, the article says, gives unionized train engineers and conductors 3 unpaid sick days a year for medical appointments, provided employers are given at least 30 days notice about the time off. Is based on an agreement that railroad companies and transportation unions agreed to in September. Okay, while 8 unions have already adopted the agreement, 4 have not, the article says. Okay. Continuing on, the standoff between the holdout unions and railroad companies has failed to resolve itself, even as White House officials have become increasingly involved. President Biden himself said the failure to achieve a breakthrough forced him to ask Congress to intervene and prevent a strike. Now, the question that I have is, the intervention by Congress, is that a real solution? Okay, you all let me know what you think in the chat. Here's a quote by President Biden, who said Monday in a statement, and I quote, "I am calling on Congress to pass legislation immediately to adopt the tentative agreement between railroad workers and operators without any modifications or delay to avert a potentially crippling national rail shutdown." Okay, he also had this to say. He also went on to say that a rail shutdown, and I quote, "a rail shutdown would devastate our economy, and without freight rail, many U.S. industries would shut down." Okay, and we talked about the effects of that, from the transportation industry, shipping, even down to what, food items and different items are available in your local area. So it would be, pretty devastating. Okay. All right. So let me continue reading. Senator Bernie Sanders, had this to say, and I quote, "If the rail industry can afford to spend $25.5 billion this year to buy back its own stock and hand out huge dividends to its wealthy shareholders, please do not tell me it cannot afford to guarantee paid sick days to its workers and provide them with decent quality of life." Okay, do you all agree or disagree with what Bernie Sanders said? The House on Wednesday, the article says, also passed a separate bill with a vote of 221 to 207, giving railroad workers an additional 7 days of sick pay. I'm sorry. Let me read this again. The House on Wednesday also passed a separate bill with a vote of 221 to 207, giving railroad workers an additional 7 days of sick leave. It remains to be seen if it will be included in the version the 50-50 divided Senate will take up. Okay, now I also read, not in this report, but I did read somewhere where the railroad workers are not too happy about Congress intervening in what they're allegedly proposing, as the terms of the agreements. Okay. Within in the article on Fox Business concludes by saying that within the upper chamber, at least 10 Republican votes are needed for the legislation to overcome a filibuster, provided all 50 Democrats fall in line. Okay. All right. So you all let me know your thoughts. Again, I just wanted to come to you and give you an update that the U.S. House of Representatives has now passed a bill to avoid a rail strike. Okay. What are your thoughts on this news? Did it really even have to get to this point? What could have been done to prevent where we are currently as far as rail strike talks? Okay. Do you think enough is being done? Do you think that Congress or congressional intervention is the real solution? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I've shared my thoughts on what was going on before. Definitely, I feel like, from what I know of those who work in the railroad industry, I believe that they do spend a lot of time away from their families. I know that there were some concerns about the level of pay, as well as the amount of paid sick leave and that paid time off. So, if these workers are working in very hard conditions and spending time away from their families, being taken away from their families, to travel and work on the railroad or work with the railroad. It's almost a tongue twister, y'all. Sorry about that. I definitely feel like if they're bringing up concerns about, their benefits, then it should be listened to and some type of agreement reached that would prove beneficial to particularly the railroad workers. Okay. But please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I appreciate you all so much for continuing to support the channel. Be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe. Okay. Also, let me remind you, please make sure that you get your emergency food supply and survival needs. I have my website, which is preparewithandrea.com. Also, if you are on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram at Andrea Speaks TV. Okay. Y'all take care, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you so much for your support.